Hi there, everyone. How you doing? It's Jeff C. It is Monday, April the 28th, and I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but racial tensions within the United States have gone up a few notches over the past week or so. I don't think that's by accident or coincidence. Probably by design. Yes, divide and conquer. But of course, it started with good old Cliven Bundy here, the darling of the alternative media, who gave oh, a completely bizarre, loopy, off-the-wall sort of statement on the Negro, kind of speculating whether or not they would be better off under slavery than the current conditions that they exist under, saying that they never really learned to pick cotton properly, and that's the problem with them today, that he's driven through Negro communities and seeing, half a dozen or so blacks on each front porch with nothing to do. They're existing off government subsidies. They abort their children and they send their youth to jail. And yeah, it's at the best it's a very bigoted sort of statement. At worst, it's outright racism. Of course, he's just not a very bright man, and he's a cattle rancher, right? And he's from a sort of probably old school Southern type family. And now these statements have been used to completely, destroy his character through the mainstream media. And then, of course, the alternative media comes back and say, no, 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 no. You guys misinterpreted what he was saying. Actually, what he's saying, there's a lot of truth in what he's saying, and he's just saying the truth, and the mainstream is just twisting it and all this, and it's back and forth, back and forth. You got the usual gang of retards covering this, the dumb turds, right? I actually did a video on it. I have to admit that when I first saw it, I acted very, very angrily to it because I really hate racism, and I hate to see blacks being treated poorly or outright racism on the television or media or internet or whatever. But you can't really avoid it, right? It's everywhere. But then I decided not to post the video because I wanted to see how the dust sort of settled and really wait for him to sort of respond and all that. So he came back out and he tried to explain himself and basically just flopped all over the place like a fish out of water, trying to defend his statements to the mainstream media, who of course are, this is the video I'm talking about here, where the CNN have him on and basically just toy with him like he's some poor animal. He's just not a bright man, and it's really almost beside the point what he said. But of course, I can totally see how any black person would be extremely, insulted by his words. But he's not here to speak about blacks. He has no position of power. He doesn't represent anybody. He's just a old, ignorant cattle rancher who is taking on the federal government. And that is that. So they've used this to basically discredit him quite a bit. Well, maybe he deserves it, right? Maybe. I don't know. But of course, the leftist mainstream media, the corporate media here, like the dumb turds, had a field day with it, as did CNN and the like, right? Then, of course, just over the last couple days, this story breaks, which is the LA Clippers owner here, Donald Sterling, don't bring black people to my games. Now, this is off TMZ Sports. I've never covered TMZ before on this channel, probably, hopefully never will again. TMZ, I believe, stands for 30 Mile Zone. It's the Beverly Hills, East Los Angeles sort of area where all these celebrities hang out, and they cover everything celebrity. So somehow, during a basketball game, somebody managed to record the old geezer billionaire here next to his trophy wife, or his girlfriend, sorry. And she had taken some photos of herself with Magic Johnson and a couple other basketball players. And this really, really offended here Mr. Donald Sterling to the point where there was about a 10-minute audio that you can hear, and it's quite embarrassing, I guess, for Mr. Sterling here, because He's basically telling his girlfriend not to ever post photos of herself with black people, and not to bring black people to the games, not to bring black people to maybe their private loge, I don't know what, right? And then he kind of tries to defend himself, because she starts saying, of course, well, I'm half black, half Mexican, and you love me. How could you love me and then hate blacks? And he's like, I don't hate blacks. I love blacks. I love minorities. It's not right, you know. And all this is just really painful to listen to. Really, what it is this guy is an old geezer, and he's got lots of money, so he gets the trophy babe. But the trophy babe, of course, not satisfied with the old geezer, and the old geezer knows it. So the old geezer is getting jealous of his wife hanging out with big-time celebrities like Magic Johnson, getting a photo with them, and his little pride was wounded, right? And so he lashes out. Now, of course, he likely is extremely racist. If you take these statements as they are, they're extremely racist and very insulting. And of course, everyone who is somebody has reacted to this. You've got Shaq, Snoop Lion, or whatever the fuck that guy's name is now, Chris Paul, Magic Johnson, Al Sharpton, of course. Yes, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Then you've got Olbermann, Dominic Wilkins, all these different people reacting to it, and it's all over the place. Like, it's a huge story. There's no way this is a coincidence that this is coming out right after the Cliven Bundy thing. This is how they like to divide us. I mean, they did it last year with the whole Trayvon Martin saga, right? And it's the same thing. They'll do it every year. I mean, go back to OJ, go back before that. You know, it's how they divide and conquer people. It's how they keep people divided. Who got the audio for this? How were they able to get it? You know, there's a lot of different questions about it. This guy's career in the NBA is over with. That's for sure. I mean, you're talking about a league that I'm just going to say my estimate is about 80% black players. You know. And you can just imagine how the players on his team, which are 80 or 85 or 90% black, and the coach, who happens to be black as well, would react to the fact that the owner of the team is telling his girlfriend not to associate with blacks. Yeah, crazy shit. But it's all part of the game, right? This is how it works. These things are real. It's probably just like Cliven Bundy's thing. It's a real thing, but somebody along the line somewhere makes the decision that they're going to run these stories at this particular time. I don't know when this recording was from, right? But there's no way it's a mistake or it's a coincidence that this comes out right after Cliven Bundy. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some more racist stuff come out over the next week or so. And probably just to distract people from a lot of what is going on, right? But this has been all over the news. I mean, everywhere you go, you will get this story. I'll show you here on Google, right? There's just a million stories on this, you know, right across the board. Of course, everybody runs with it. That's what the mainstream does. And this becomes the water cooler talk at the offices. This becomes the big story for a lot of news outlets. Of course, all the sports channels will cover it to no end. I mean, they will analyze this thing. They'll go on about it. They'll bring on people. They'll have Charles Barkley. They'll have, you know, Shaquille O'Neal. Everyone that is somebody that people will want to watch. They'll put up on screen reacting to this. Sterling was set up by Girlfriend from Hell. This is another latest article here. Girlfriend from Hell. So, you know, but you get, you know, this is Donald Trump now reacting. Says Girlfriend from Hell. I guess they would know, right? The old geezers, the old billionaire geezers who can't resist going for the young pieces of ass, and they get what they deserve. I mean, when I listened to Donald Sterling go on, I actually felt sorry for the guy. I mean, like, here's the guy right here who's a billionaire, and yet he's such a fucking, like, pathetic worm. I mean, when you hear him going on and on about it, and you could just see how this girl just gets under his skin with just the slightest word, just one little glance or something, and he's going batshit crazy. It goes to show you, money can't buy you happiness. This dude is not a happy dude. He's got all the money in the world, he's got his own fucking playground with his superstar basketball team, and yet he's a miserable sack of shit, and he's probably going to die that way. Right? And that's probably the best lesson that people can learn out of this, because when money is your whole thing, when all you care about is your wealth, then what are you worth? Really? I mean, I'm not talking in terms of dollars. What are you worth in terms of for humanity? What are you worth to anybody else? You're just a old pathetic, guy who's wounded by his hot young girlfriend here, who obviously has no problem attracting other people and making her boyfriend extremely jealous. It's such a petty thing. It's so stupid. And yet they'll use it to divide and drive that wedge in between us, blacks and whites. They will use this to ratchet it up. I mean, all these events are used. Go back to Rodney King. Go back to all these things. They use these events to drive the wedge between us. Of course, for black people, it's extremely insulting. And I understand. I mean, you would have a right if you're black to be angry about what this guy said, because it's totally unacceptable to have that kind of talk. But then again, it's a private conversation. And this guy is being recorded without any sort of consent. He has no idea he's being recorded, so that's why, of course, he's looking like a complete fool, because he's not able to guard his words. This reminds me a lot of when Mel Gibson went bonkers on his girlfriend. And I remember thinking the same thing. It was like, I thought, well, Mel Gibson, here's this one of the most successful actors, hugely successful director, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. One of these sort of sex idols from, the 80s and the 90s. Probably had no problem getting any woman that he wants, even at his ripe old age now. But nonetheless, he was completely controlled by his wife or his girlfriend or whatever the hell she was. He was losing his mind, just foaming at the mouth. And of course, all that is released on purpose. It's there to divide you, and that's what these things are. I mean, TMZ is just a gossip thing. They're just the paparazzi, right? And that's what they do. They go after celebrities. Sometimes they do good things for celebrities, and sometimes they do bad things. When somebody needs to take a fall, they're there to bring them down. When someone needs to be built up, they're there to build you up. They build you up and they tear you down. So Donald Sterling is being torn down right now. Well, he's just falling apart like a house of cards. It's only due to his own stupidity that this is happening. But of course, this whole thing is being used to divide and conquer all of Americans and to keep racial tensions, happening, to keep us, constantly at each other, to keep us distracted. First and foremost, that is first and foremost, to keep us distracted, to keep us focused on the gossip, to keep us focused on the things that don't matter, like the sports, except the NHL playoffs. Go Habs, go! But you know what I mean. I mean, this is how they use it, and they get everybody and their brother who is a celebrity to come out and give their opinion on it. And this is the bubble that people will live in for the next few weeks until this all blows over, and he'll lose his post. They'll suspend him. They'll have a vote. They'll make him give up his team, and then he'll just go and I don't know, crawl into some fucking gold-plated hole. I don't know. I mean, look at this guy, right? And it's so pathetic. It's just hilarious. What a piece of Americana, and what a piece of bullshit. And man, I ain't gonna report on this again, because it's there to divide us. That's all it is, and it's just stupidity.